Hey everyone, Andre here, and as it turns out, apparently you all have a ton of questions about Paper Mario the Origami King, based on the fact that in the half an hour since I posted a tweet asking for your questions, I have over 200 of them, so that's a lot to get through. So to help me out, we have Xander back once again from Nintendo World Report, who was with me on the preview, to answer these questions for all of you. So Xander, how are you doing?
Hello, thank you for having me back.
Of course.
Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, well, we got a lot to get through, so let's just get to it. First up, we have a question from Gus Chicas, who asks, was there any point you found yourself low on resources from avoiding battles? So, for myself, I did say I've been avoiding battles at points, but I should clarify, it's actually pretty hard to avoid battles in this game, or at least, a bulk of them. So, I do end up doing battles more often than not. So, as a consequence of that, I can't say that I've really found myself running low in resources, because I have been replenishing them through, battles and finding stuff in the environment. So, I don't think there's any point where I've actually really run low on anything, minus maybe mushrooms where I had to refill at one point. How about you, Xander?
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same. If I haven't been exploring and maybe I've run low on weapons, then okay, I'll head to the shop really quick. Takes 2 seconds, and I've got plenty of coins to get what I need.
Right.
The only time in the game I've ever felt like I was really running low is in the that tower in the first chapter where they kind of intentionally limit the amount of confetti you have, because that's more of a progression in the way that area is designed. But by and large, hasn't been a problem.
Okay, great. Sean Buckley asks, how much Luigi is in the game? Any? Yeah, so, and I should mention real quick, I forgot to mention this at the start. We can only specifically answer questions up to the first, basically third of the game, up to the blue ribbon, or the second main area. So we won't be able to talk about anything specific outside of that. So just keep that in mind for these questions. To Sean's question about Luigi, he's in the game more than I expected, and certainly more, I think, than I recall from some previous Paper Marios, but my memory could be hazy. But he's in there a little bit more than I thought.
Yeah, he's probably in this one the most since Super Paper Mario, right. I'd say.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it. Jan asks, is the combat shallow and brain dead? Shallow, possibly. Brain dead, no. At least for the puzzle solving part, so that can be a little tricky. Muse Yep asks, which aspects of the battle system do you enjoy? So I'll let you answer this one, Xander.
Which aspects of the battle system do I enjoy? I like it when the puzzles ask me to take the ideas of what they start you with, the foundations, and then evolve them. It's not just the you need, okay, I see a Goomba in one spot, I need to get him over here, so I slide him up and then I rotate him over. Sometimes they'll ask you to slide a row partially and then rotate and then continue that slide, so it's a bit of the way you have to figure that out. I liked that strategy.
Yeah, like the puzzle solving.
The puzzle solving, right. Right, I saw in the comments on the preview that some people were like, strategy, it's it's a puzzle solving, when does it become strategical? And that doesn't really happen when it comes to the battling so much. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I liked the puzzle component when it asked you to use your head a little bit more, when the answer wasn't as obvious, because that does happen.
Right. Next, we have a question from Saga Diego, who asks, how does it look in handheld form? That's all I care about. So, have you tried it much in handheld form?
Yeah, I've gone through when I'm looking for collectibles, and I've looked at it in handheld.
Is it good?
And I think it looks. Yeah, I think it looks fine. Very crisp. I no problems with it whatsoever.
Okay, great. Test Gaming asks, do the partner characters stay with you throughout the whole story, or are they with you for only a certain portion? So once again, you can only talk up to the blue ribbon. Actually, so I don't know if we can really fully address that.
Yeah, we can't really address this one.
Yeah.
I guess we could say Olivia's with you for the long haul.
I think I think I did say in the preview that they are temporary. So so we'll go with that. Frank Platt asks, is there a reason to battle? Is there stat building? So the reason to battle is, one, to clear out enemies from the map that are in your way. If you try to avoid them, you can if you want, but you may end up running them anyway. But you do get coins too, and those coins can be used for other purposes, like buying items or equipment. or even equipables, like these badge-like things. They're not badges, but badge-like things that increase your stats. So yeah, there is reason for it, but nothing really permanent, if that's what you're looking for. It's all kind of like, based out of the economy. Riku Key asks, how do you rate this? Actually, okay, they're asking, how do we rate the game compared to other titles? It's too early, this isn't a review, sorry, can't answer that.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. Sebastian C says, do battles feel pointless like in Sticker Star or Color Splash, or is there enough incentive to bother fighting things? Or are we going to be gently nudged to avoid everything to get to a boss? So, Xander, I'll throw this one to you for a quick answer.
Yeah, I'll say, I mean, unless you care about the collectible aspect of this game, I would say the battles really aren't that meaningful. They do a really good job of building up how many collectibles you need, and a lot of them they do require coins to get a hold of. So if you really want to finish things out, you have to do some battling to get those. But if you're not really interested in that, you can start the game and go to the boss, and then still win. So
okay. Daniel is asking who is the Origami King a spoiler? So I'll take this one since I know you finished the game. I haven't fully myself yet. So I can't even accidentally spoil this one if I want to. But I can say up to the point that I've experienced, it would not be a spoiler. But that isn't to say that it couldn't be a spoiler. But again, if it is, I have no idea. So there you go.
You're good. I won't clarify.
Trans307 asks, how open world is the game? Like, is it only open for some sections like Pokemon, or is it the entire game? So, I guess 0% of it is really open world in the conventional sense, but there are open areas to the game, or like broader, bigger areas, and
room for exploration.
Yeah,
they're not connected in like a one seamless world, but they have large environments for you to like walk around and find secrets.
Exactly. So the game is by and large linear, but there are parts where you do have like some free reign to explore. So.
Mm-hmm. It's not course clear like it was in Sticker Star and Super Paper Mario and Color Splash.
Exactly,
it is linear, but it's not like,
right. It feels, it's less by the numbers, I suppose. Kind of literally, if that makes any sense. Anyways, I think by describing, I'm making it harder to understand. Eric Shalusis says, or asks, I still want to know if it'll be better than the last two or more of the same. So again, this isn't a review, can't fully answer that, but I will say, for me, it's certainly... Well, hold on, let me reread that question. It'd be better than the last two. I mean, I quite like Color Splash, and whereas I hated Sticker Star. So, it's hard for me to answer that for you. I think it's something... If you hated the last two, I will say there's probably a good chance you're not going to like this one. But I
don't think this is a Sticker Star 3. I think this is a Color Splash 2, which is a really weird thing to say because Color Splash 2 everyone calls Sticker Star 2. But like, I think this game is an evolution of what Color Splash was, and it doesn't feel as close to Sticker Star. It feels like it's almost removed itself a little bit from that game, even though like the battling system kind of carries over some of the issues that people have had.
That's a really good way of answering that question, so hats off to you, Xander.
Well, thank you.
Dot C asks, can I get a 10-hour version of those singing trees? Man, I wish. I love those singing trees, too. That was such a fun thing to encounter.
You can listen to the music in the museum.
Oh, so good point. All right, maybe that'll be our next video once the embargo's up.
A 10-hour video of the trees.
All right, Oliver asks, how does Olivia compare to past main Paper Mario partners? Tippy, Kirsty, Tippy, then Kirsty sucks, and then Huey. Is her character unique in any sort of way? Thanks. So, I would say she's closer to Huey. I don't even remember Tippy. But I would say she's closer to Huey than Kirsty. I didn't like Kirsty at all. She's less...
I didn't like Kirsty either.
I would say, what's cool is that like she feels very distinct to all of them so far. She's cute, she is comical, she's not as funny as Huey, and that's by design. She's just not like that comical of a character, but she does have humor that's part of her. Do you agree with that, Xander?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think, I really liked Huey. I thought that he had a very sarcastic personality that was kind of fun to bounce off of with Bowser, or not Bowser, Mario. With Olivia, she is also very funny. I can't really delve too deep into her character because of embargo, but I would say like I think she feels like she's considerably more developed. I think just because of the relationship she has with her brother. They show that in the beginning of the game.
Oh yeah.
But I would say like she does have a purpose for sure.
That's
she's not just.
Yeah,
it's not just there.
That's a good angle to bring up. That there just seemed to be a little bit more depth to. For as much as I loved Huey, there wasn't, to my memory, there wasn't a whole lot to the character. Whereas there definitely seems to be more depth to Kirsty, and I think I can say that we even saw like a little hint of this in one of the trailers, where you see her like sitting on a bench, like looking dejected. I think so.
Yes.
Yeah. There you go. Jan the Man asks, "Is there ever a battle where Mario gets fully surrounded by enemies on all sides, like a capacity ring arena? What is the maximum amount of enemies Mario can fight in the battle?" I have no idea what the maximum amount is. If there is one, I don't know if I can answer that. What I can say is there are points where you will be surrounded, if not on all sides, on a fair amount of them, and then it's of course up to you to line them up to try and make it less so. So that's part of the puzzle solving, I think.
Yep.
Shocksta asks, "I notice the game has a lot of different styles to distract from the main battle system, like the minigames and fighting the paper macho enemies in the overworld. Would you say they provide great variety that helps if you avoid the regular battles?" So this is actually something I wanted to touch on. I totally forgot to, but there's a lot
yeah, I did too.
Yeah, there's a lot
we didn't even mention this.
Yeah, exactly. This is something I actually really do like, is the fact that it's not just turn-based combat. It also has a kind of like a real-time action component too, with the paper-mache enemies, and it actually kind of feels a little bit like Super Paper Mario in this respect, where it is real-time combat. You take damage and inflict damage in real time, and that does mix it up. It feels different, and although there isn't necessarily a ton of depth to those battles, I do like the fact that it is something different.
You're taking the words right out of my mouth. They are very fun. I think they last a little too short. It's like, oh man, this is really neat. It's such a nice break from everything else. But once it's over, it's kind of over. But yeah, the paper mache battles are really fun.
Indeed. 18 Reviewer asks, "Are badges in?" So badges technically are not, but there are things kind of similar. So there is the accessories, which you can buy, and then you can equip. The amount you can equip is dependent on the category they're in, I think.
Right.
So
you can't have like 10 badges. Like it's not badges, accessories. It's like you can have one. There's like variations of a guard upgrade or a heart upgrade, and you can have one of each of those. And it's, in terms of like customizing that experience, it's not as in depth as like the past games where you could really like create your own character. This is more of like a choose your difficulty, I guess. It's more of a self-induced thing. If you really,
yeah, I agree. Caesar asks, "Are there any kind of side quests to be found?" In the conventional sense, nothing's leaping out at me. I mean, there's lots of side things to do, like side things to find, but any proper side quests?
Not that I've seen. I would say maybe filling out the museum, but they didn't. I don't think there are any.
Yeah, there's nothing quite like there's nothing like the Trouble Center from Thousand Year Door, if that's what you're asking. Like, nothing. I'm not recalling anything along those lines, but there are things to do, like things to find, and that does have like some effects throughout the game. But yeah, no proper like side quest that I can think. But I don't think like Color Splash or Sticker Star really did either, to my memory. So.
Yeah, Color Splash did that one with the what is it, the plant and the toads that lived on that house, but it was that was nowhere near the Trouble Center.
Right. Nintendo asks, "Don't need specifics, but do the puzzle solving elements of battle get significantly more difficult later on, or does it stay feeling nearly as easy as in the beginning?" No, I'd say they definitely step it up. I think. What do you think, Xander? I think it gets harder the deeper in you get.
Yeah, I can't like say specifics. Yeah, I would say it definitely gets harder. I found that I think the more scripted battles where you're walking and then suddenly something happens in the environment, I think those show the difficulty more than the overworld battles. But that's not to say all the overworld battles are completely easy. There's no like difficulty indicator in the overworld, so it's kind of like a gamble when you're going into a fight. But I would say the scripted ones and the boss fights show more difficulty usually than the overworld enemies.
Right. Just real quick, we have a ton of questions to get through, so I might have to start speeding through these just a little faster.
All right, sorry.
No, it's all good. So I might answer just some myself too, by the way, just so we can just get through these. Matthew Banky asks, "Is the humor on point, or are there a lot of memes like the whole taking an L thing?" My perspective is the humor is pretty good. It's not as funny as Color Splash, but I have found myself laughing out loud a couple of times. Do you agree, Xander? Or
Yep.
All right. Chris asks, Andre, who is your favorite partner character and why? So unfortunately, up to this point, I can only talk about the two that or being Olivia, the first two being Olivia, who's with you through the whole game, and Bobby or the bob-omb. And I guess Bobby wins by default. So there you go.
Yeah, Bobby as well.
Yep. The poor student hobbyist asks, is avoiding combat at all costs a viable strategy like the last two games? What are your opinions about it? So we kind of touched on this real quick, but Xander, anything else to add?
Not really. I don't know. I didn't really avoid battles for my playthrough. It wasn't until like I was going through trying to like rack up my collectibles where I was like, okay, I've seen this. I need to keep going. But it's
okay. Steven asks, hopefully not actually, having not actually played through any Paper Mario title, I know, right? Will this be a good first experience? Again, this is something you'll have to stay tuned for the review. But
yeah.
I think it could definitely, there are definitely worst first experiences in Paper Mario at the very least. So I'll leave it there. Yep. But yeah, stay tuned for our reviews to see what we think in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, I think to better answer that question, you don't have to play previous games to enjoy this one. So, yeah, it's not necessarily a bad...
And also, each game is very different.
Yeah.
The series is known for that, so
exactly.
One thing could be very different than the other.
Govom asks, how is Bobby's personality? We've seen him a bit, but it still feels like we don't know how he really is. So, yeah, Bobby's personality is actually pretty interesting. I don't want to get too specific, but I had a clip in our preview or our 10 minutes of gameplay, probably both, where you can see him riding on the gondola. And it's actually one of the funniest moments in the game for me, where you just keep declining him, and you and through his persistence, you kind of realize a little bit of who he is. So yeah. Are there any specific traits you want to toss out there, Xander, for him, or?
Yeah, I won't obviously get too specific with this, but I really like Bobby. He comes across almost like as a little brother type figure to Mario in a sense. Not quite like how Luigi is, but just more like in the traditional sense. Very cute, has a lot of very charming dialogue, and I think he is funnier through his actions more than just through his jokes. Just kind of more situational humor.
Right.
But yeah, Bobby's great.
Vidal asks, do partners have field abilities? So again, we only have one partner at the point we can talk to, and I can't say that Bobby itself or himself does not have anything you can do in the field. However, Olivia does, as you can check in with her at any time and she'll give you like a tip about the area. So, she's not interacting with the environment in any way, but she does have, an ability you can do out in the world. So that's all we can answer so far. So moving on to Dr. Hives, they ask, if there is no XP, how does it feel to progress through the game and what makes you more powerful as the game continues? So, what makes you more powerful is, if you want to call it that, but you do upgrade your abilities in some ways by finding heart containers in the world or beating bosses, which give you heart containers, and that increases your health. You can also power some of your stats by buying equipment, using the coins you get in battle. So it's not too far removed from what Color Splash is already doing. Although in that game it did have the points, the hammer points, although it didn't end up mattering that much, it did kind of give you some idea of a permanent upgrade system. But yeah, otherwise it kind of functions similar to that. So it works, it's just not as explicit, I suppose, or as clear-cut, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that with this game, more than Color Splash, it gives you more things to do with the coins, and so I think that's why it feels like it's focusing more on that. And why there aren't any hammer scrap equivalents.
Right.
Because the only way you level up that bag is when you complete, or you destroy one of the streamers.
And again, this is probably something we'll have more thoughts on in our full review. So,
yep.
Mark Hu asks, are there any actual challenging aspects? Is it possible for a normal person to fail any part of the game even once? Yeah, I've actually had a couple of game overs with myself, probably 3 or 4. I've definitely lost during boss battles. Those, if you don't figure out the puzzle solution in time, you can quickly whittle down your health. Even normal battles might pose a problem if you're not solving the sliding puzzle correctly. Any other parts you can think of?
This game continues the trend of having these segments where you need to think on your feet pretty quick, and if you don't, you get a game over. And thankfully, you can return from where you last saved, whereas in Color Splash, it sent you all the way back to the title screen. So I experienced that a few times, but by and large, it wasn't a difficulty thing. It was just more of a I didn't know what was coming, and I fell for it.
Slick L asks, is a frame rate consistent in docked and handheld mode? From what I've seen, yeah, I don't think I've noticed any slowdown at all. You, Xander?
Yeah, I've definitely played it more on the big screen, and I haven't noticed any frame rate drops.
I am pretty sure the game is 30 frames per second, though, so just, keep that in mind. Yeah.
Yep.
Marshall asks, considering Kensuke Tanabe, I believe, has worked on Metroid Prime and Donkey Kong Country, do you have any idea what the big helmets do in the game? Does Mario have big DK hands while wearing a DK helmet? Thanks. So up to the point we can discuss, we can't, say too much. What I can say is those helmets do go in your inventory, but at the point, you can wear them at basically any point after doing so, and they don't really do anything. They're just kind of for fun, like, Mario, like, will move around and make noises. I don't think Mario got big DK hands, but he does do a little funny animation. I think you can see that in my gameplay video too, so check that out for more. Actually, it's probably playing in this video right now. Maybe not right now, but at some point in this video you might have seen it. Let's see. Adam asks a question that we've already answered. So, Silly Goose asks, does a bob-omb partner ever actually get referred to as Bobby? Xander?
Yeah, so bob-omb, his name is bob-omb, and that's what he asks you to call him. Olivia, for some reason, doesn't understand that concept and comes up with a variety of names for him, and eventually lands on Bobby. And so throughout the adventure, that's what she refers to him as. But and I'm sure that's what the internet's probably going to call him because it's more distinct than just bob-omb. But yeah, that is the purpose of that.
All right. Deoxys48 asks, are there a good variety to the types of enemies in the game? Yeah, I'd say so. Especially at least for the or actually I was gonna say the origami ones, but they're all origami enemies. But the ones the ones you fight in battle arenas, yeah, there's a good variety there. There's lots of a variety for the paper mache enemies, but you encounter them less anyway, so it doesn't really matter that much. Audio asks, how does a newcomer get into this game? Well, you just buy it and play it. I don't think you'll have too much trouble.
Believe me, the tutorials will help you.
Exactly. Wicked Bowser Jr. asks, how big a part does Bowser Jr. play? Unfortunately, that's beyond the point we could talk about, so sorry, stay tuned for the review. Argus Limited asks, I'm not sure whether this was covered in the discussion you recently posted on YouTube, but I wanted to ask whether the general theory that basic attacks are not tied to consumables like the jump and hammer cards is correct or not. It seemed that you could equip gear. What's that about? So we actually did address this in the preview. Yes or no, I forget what you asked, but no, they're not consumables. You have unlimited use of your basic hammer and jump attacks. However, there is equipment you can equip on top of that that are limited. You can only use them a set amount of time. So they're more like, I guess I was gonna say like items, but you can reuse them. So you can use them until they break. So it's kind of like an item Breath of the Wild. So it's actually something pretty unique by Paper Mario standards, but I don't think we've seen anything quite like that. Something that is technically limited in use, but not only one use each. So
yeah, think of it like having a stack of the same sticker, and eventually it runs out.
Exactly. I don't know, but Embor is neat asks, can you buy anything cool with coins, and will you actually have to manage your money, or will you have an excess at all times? So yeah, there's a fair amount of things you can buy with coins, and some of them are cool, including like trophies and stuff, which get added to the museum. You can buy, I've bought a few accessories that I would say are pretty cool. I forget at what points in the game they are at, so I can't give specifics. But there are some cool things you can buy, and as to whether your money will be excessive at all times or not, the funny thing is, I've had a hard time getting a good gauge on whether I have a lot of money or not at any given point. But I can say I've never really felt like I have had points where I felt I had an excess amount, then I quickly just burned through it and I was down to like nothing again. So, have you had a similar experience, Xander, or?
Yeah, I'd have a similar experience. If I were to elaborate on this, I think I would be going into areas I can't talk about, but I would find, for the most part, I've had an excess amount, and I'm good there.
Okay. Storm Her asks, does the game get stale over time, or does the momentum keep going up? So again, this is something we'll better be able to address in the review. I would say, even at the part we can't talk about specifically, there's been peaks and valleys, but through that, it has kept pulling me through. So, but again, we'll have more thoughts later on. Brian asks, how big are the worlds in the game? What size? Oh god, I don't even know like what to compare it to because the perspective.
Yeah, what do you compare that to?
Because the perspective of Paper Mario is so unique. It's just hard to like compare it to anything else. But I guess if we compare it to other Paper Marios,
what's the desert in like the N64 game? Like that, I don't know. It's like 9 panels by.
Yeah,
whatever.
it's like if you take it if you combine it all into a single screen, it'd be huge. But it's not presented as a single screen in that game. It's broken up into multiple screens. Same thing with like Toad Town. Like if you even if you combine like all of Toad Town in that game, the one in this game was still dwarf it. I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, it's more about how big each general area feels. So yeah, I don't know, it's hard to compare, but it'll take you a good amount of time to cross some of these areas in this game. So.
Oh yeah. To the point where they give you like vehicles to traverse.
Exactly. Stealth asks, who's pretty famous on Twitter, asks, what the hell is Luigi doing? Well, we already answered that, and someone actually linked to my 5 things we learned video. So shame on you, Stealth, for not watching that video, which fully addressed that question. So. Moving on, Mario Fanboy 1 asks, so based on some of the new gameplay, it seems proper dungeons might actually be returning. Is this true? Yeah, I don't fully know what you would refer to as a proper dungeon, but there are definitely dungeon-like environments in this game that does involve puzzle solving and backtracking, and even bosses. So yeah, I would say dungeons are here. Next, Sebastian asks, are coins and confetti that important to justifying battle, or are they obtainable elsewhere? So I mean, I think we kind of already touched on this, but the short answer is, by and large, they are obtainable elsewhere, I think. But it's hard to fully say because I have been engaging in some battles. I haven't been entirely skipping them because it's really hard to skip them entirely. But you are able to get coins and confetti, in various other places. So, yeah, so I don't think you'd be too hard pressed by skipping battles when you can. Let's see. Syed asks, how many paper puns are there this time around? As usual, the more puns, the better, in my opinion. Xander?
So many puns.
Yeah.
So many puns.
But I will say, I went back to Color Splash a few nights ago, and I feel like that game might have had even more paper puns than this one does. So this one might actually have stepped it back a little bit, but maybe you disagree.
Yeah, this game has a little more, I think has more one-liners, given like how you just find the toads. But yeah, lots of puns.
Leanne asks, knowing that you can only get battles, another coin and confetti question, knowing that you only get coins and confetti from battles, do you genuinely feel excited going into battle, or do you find yourself enjoying them more? I don't know if I can say I genuinely feel excited getting into battle. I do really like the music in battle, so I kind of look forward to that. But to be fully fair, I don't know if I really look forward to battle in most Paper Mario games. Like even the ones that I would say have a better combat system, I don't know if I really looked forward to it. In most cases, and even in those games, I would usually avoid battles too, at least when backtracking through an area. So. I think, yeah, so it's such a tough question to answer. Again, more thoughts in our review. Let's see. Brian asks, how many partners are there? Again, we can't really address that, but I think the box probably answers that question for you. They show off, I think, most of the partners.
Watch a trailer.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I mean, again, we kind of touched on this in the discussion. The trailer revealed a lot about this game. So it's kind of funny that, we could just point to much of the trailer to answer your questions.
Yeah.
Like, go look at this
I don't want to, be that guy,
exactly.
But it's like, look at the trailer.
Yep, bingo. What is this question? Okay, I don't know what that question is, so we'll move on. Alright, we're starting to run into a lot of repeats here. So, here's a question. Minophobia asks, how is the writing? Is it as witty as Color Splash? What do you think, Xander?
I think so. I think I've enjoyed the jokes in Color Splash just a little bit more, but by no means is that a knock against this game. This game has plenty of good laughs in it, for sure. Mm-hmm. I think this game is a little more situational based in its humor, whereas it does have plenty of writing, whereas I think Color Splash is just more focused on its humor in the dialogue.
Chino asks, are there any references or cameos to the first 3 Paper Mario games? So again, we can only talk up to the first 2, and I don't mean that as a hint or anything. I legitimately don't, I'm just saying we can't talk beyond it. But I can say that there is at least one thing I saw in the first part of the game, I'm pretty sure, that I thought was a reference, just in terms of the dialogue, but it was pretty subtle. So beyond that, I don't recall any other explicit references in the first part of the game, but maybe you...
I saw in the photo studio of the ninja town, there's like a picture on the wall of one of the rescue toads from Color Splash.
Ah!
But, yeah.
That's actually a good one. Actually, now that you mention it, I think I might have saw something else too, and like I think in the tower of the first area, I think there might be a painting that I thought was a reference to maybe...
yeah, there's a lot of subtle stuff.
Yeah,
like
no, that's right. So actually, yeah, so there you go. There are some, at least some references, and probably some that we may have even missed too. Let's see. Next up, Nathan asks, how frequent are boss/mini-boss battles? Do they offer much challenge? So, they're not terribly frequent. I think there's generally, probably 2 per region? Is that right? Does that sound right?
Yeah, I'd say, yeah. There's it's like you have the battle with the Velumental, and then the battle with the Guardian of the Legion of Stationary. But there are plenty of those scripted battles, and some of the scripted battles I think introduce harder enemies for you to take on. Mm-hmm. So I guess those kind of act like mini bosses. But if you're looking for like what this game is offering as a boss battle, it's about 2.
Right. Next up, we have a couple of questions. One from Tip Top, who asks, "How good does the game compare to Sticker Star and Color Splash? Is it better than those two or worse?" And then we have a question from Tanner, who asks, "Be real, is it the Sticker Star 3 we all feared?" So again, this isn't the review. We can't get into specifics. But I do want to address a follow-up comment that's from someone else who replied to them saying, not even Color Splash is near Sticker Star 2. And that's basically what you said earlier, Xander. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I've seen some comments from people being like, Andre's gone soft since the Sticker, to the effect of like, Andre's gone soft since the Sticker Star review. We can't be trusted. And I don't understand that. Like, to me, Color Splash, while still having issues, was such a clear improvement from Sticker Star in so many ways that the good parts made it so I would be willing to put up with the bad to see through the end of the game. Whereas a Sticker Star, I just want to quit the entire way through. So yeah, I don't think it's fair at all to call this Sticker Star 3 by any metric.
Yeah, it's unfortunate when I see that comment, but I understand people are making that assumption. But yeah, see my comment about this being a sequel to Color Splash.
Yeah, and even then, as you touched on earlier, this game itself is just so different to Color Splash, and in some ways, I was going to wait until someone else brought this up. I don't think anyone is going to, but in some ways, this game even like harkens back to Thousand Year Door, like having a single connected world, having having a hub, having these quasi-partner characters. Again, it doesn't go the full distance all the time, but it does harken back to the originals in some interesting ways.
Yep.
Oh, including the fact that I can mention this, and to readdress a question earlier, as we touched on in one of the analysis, at one point you can see pictures of Peach on the wall from the entire line of Paper Mario games, so which is another reference or throwback to it. So
that is in there.
Let's see. Looking for another question. Games Cage says, "Are there more Nintendo Easter eggs like the Samus and Donkey Kong helmets?" Do you recall any, Xander?
No, not that I'm aware of. I don't remember seeing any.
Yeah,
we had those Easter eggs we talked about earlier, but nothing like the giant masks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not thinking anything specific. I wouldn't be surprised if there's something I'm overlooking or forgetting, because there's been a lot in the game, but yeah, nothing's really jumping out at me. Those are the most explicit by far so far. The Hypist asks, "Is it really beneficial to run from battles than actually doing them?" So we have already touched on avoiding battles, but I want to specifically address running from battles, because I have tried that myself, and not really, because I think I mentioned in our discussion, the problem is running is very, it's at best 50% effective. It might even be less than that. I find more often than not, when I'm trying to run from battles, I'm usually failing at it, and I usually fail at least 2 times in a row before I finally escape on the third, and in that time, I've not only wasted my own time, but taking a ton of damage. So I would say it's probably not. You're also losing the coin reward too. The only thing you're gaining is that you might possibly save time, and it clears them from the world map. So it's a risk as to whether you actually save time or not. But otherwise, it's kind of almost more of a hassle to run than it's just to deal with a battle.
Right, and when Andre says that he's fleeing and failing, it's because the game just decides like, oh, you decided to flee, well, you're not able to. Mario just falls over. It's very random, and I agree. The percentage of like successful flee rate is not super high.
Right.
But
yeah, it's not all quasi skill based as it was in the first two Paper Marios. It's entirely random, so it is a pretty big risk if you want to chance it. Yeah. All right. Here's a question from Penn. Comparing to the original Paper Mario game, do you really engage significantly less fights, or is it simply people complaining just to complain? I'm not quite sure what that question is. I think you probably already addressed it. Sorry, what did you?
I said I'm not really sure what that person means.
Yeah, sorry, but not quite sure. But I think we've hopefully addressed it throughout the rest of this Q&A. Penn. I think. Oh, is this Penn again? Yeah. Here's another question from Penn. Maybe this is better. Compared to the original Paper Mario games, do you really feel the story and writing is more fun and more engaging? Oh man, that's so tough. I would say the writing. I just played Thousand Year Door, and I forgot how good the writing was in that game. The writing in this game isn't. Rather, I should say, I don't think the story up to the point I played is as engaging as it can be in Thousand Year Door. But the writing itself, I think, can be, and I think it's pretty close. Pretty close to Color Splash. At least in terms of thematic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
When I played Color Splash, I thought Huey was like one of my favorite characters.
Right.
Did he have like this deep backstory? No, but was he a very charismatic character who I understood and like I enjoyed having him along with the adventure throughout my adventure? Yes, and so I felt connected to him. Whereas I think in this game, it's kind of like a lot of the characters are that type of personality, where not personality, but like they have that amount of character written into them. So narratively, I think the focus is on more of the characters rather than just the narrative itself.
Right. Let's see. Another question from Pensu says, in Color Splash, there are chapters that limit the area progression. In Origami King, the developer said open world. Can you literally walk directly to the Bowser's Castle from the beginning of the game? So as we touched on, no. This is still largely a linear game. So yeah, there is no way to reach Bowser's Castle early on. So let's see. God, Penn asked a ton of questions. Jeez, I'm gonna start. Sorry, Penn, I can't answer all of them, but I'm glad we're able to answer some of them for you. Mr. Snaker says, yeah. Mr. Snaker says, how much of the game have we not seen? Feels like everything's spoiled. So yeah, we kind of addressed this in discussion a little bit. I mean, we can't give like an exact answer, but I think that the broad strokes of the game, and you can probably speak to this a little bit better, Xander. I would say the broad strokes probably were shown off largely in the trailer. Actually, maybe I should answer this because I haven't finished it entirely.
Go for
but
it.
there are a lot of more granular portions of those areas that I had no idea about. So there are still surprises within them, but I would say the overall structure of the game, yeah, was kind of shown off in the trailer, as we kind of suspected going into the game. So, let's see. The Orange asks, is there a way to turn off the motion controls for the 1,000-fold arms? Yeah, you can.
Yep.
I haven't tried it. Have you tried it yourself, Xander?
I have, yeah.
Cool. How's it work?
Yep. You just use your left stick and then to move the arms, and you use the ZR and ZL buttons to like grip whenever you need to like grab onto something, and then you just hold the buttons down and then continue to use the left stick as your motion movement, and it works fine.
All right, good. Yeah, I will say there's actually a fair amount of pretty good options and tutorials in the pause screen itself. Including some like accessibility features that you oddly have to unlock, which is weird.
Yes.
You have to do something to unlock them. So I don't want to get specifics, but I don't know if you can unlock them up to the point of the game we can talk about. I'm pretty sure you can, but I didn't do it until after, so I don't want to say for sure what they are.
Right.
But yeah, it's just kind of odd that they did it that way. But yeah, there's some cool settings in there for you to play around with and better customized experience to your liking.
More than I've seen in any Paper Mario game.
Yeah, exactly, by far.
Sure.
And the help section too is just really good. Like
very robust,
walking you through
very
how to handle it. Yeah, bingo. Let's see. I had a question here. Nice Peachy asks, are characters such as the Koopalings in there, or is this too much of a spoiler question to ask? So again, I can only answer up to the first two areas, but in those areas, no, there were 0 Koopalings, which is stark contrast to Color Splash, which had at least 2, I think, up to that point. So, or actually, I think 1 per region, as I recall.
Yeah, it was 1 per region.
Yeah. Let's see. Ooh, Crimson asks, how many battle themes are in the game, and what is your favorite one? So again, we can't answer how many battle themes there are, but I don't even know which one my favorite is, but I do just like the battle themes in general. Like, they're just really good.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Pixelbit asks, how long does the intro take? Prologue to the forest. Oh man, I would say probably
to the forest
20 to 30 minutes.
Yeah, I'd say that's about right.
Yeah,
there's no really. You can't really skip the tutorial, and I found the tutorial was kind of sluggish. It really holds your hand to make sure you understand what you're doing. There's a tutorial for how to rotate. There's a tutorial for how to slide. There's a tutorial for how to equip an accessory or a weapon. Like they make sure you know what you're doing. So I found that was a little slow, but I mean, to get to like the forest area, I'd say it was about 20 to 30 minutes.
Right. Bro Moment asks, how is the difficulty? Does it scale well? So I would say after the initial tutorial part of the game, maybe the first hour-ish or so, I found that the difficulty overall has been pretty even. I don't think I hit... Again, I'll have more thoughts in the review. But overall, by and large, I found it to be pretty steady throughout. Usually not too difficult, and usually not too easy.
Yeah, I would agree with that. See review when it comes out.
Yep. Toast asks, how does one upgrade Mario's boots and hammer? Is there really a reason to fight? So you don't actually, as far as I know, or to my understanding, you don't actually upgrade the base attacks themselves, but you can find better versions of those attacks in the form of equipment, and which can run out. So that's basically how you upgrade it, I guess. Is that right? Yeah? Yeah.
The only I guess way, I don't know. Olivia makes a comment when you complete a streamer that you are stronger now, and you are able to destroy enemies in the overworld that were weaker. So I'm not sure if that actually makes your base attack stronger as well. I didn't really keep track of the numbers, but yeah.
Right. The King of Trash asks, I know you can't say what, but does the overall story actually try to go anywhere interesting, or is the story mostly just seeing what weird situations to get into? Yeah, I mean, again, we can only talk about the first parts. I would say in those parts, it does kind of feel more like you're encountering a variety of weird situations. It doesn't quite feel connected to a single story thread, but that's really not all that far removed either from Thousand Year Door. Replaying that game, starting off too, that's how that game went. It's here's some kind of random scenarios, Yeah. So, again, more thoughts in the review.
Yep.
I know I keep saying that, but
it is what it is. It happens.
Yep. Let's see. Looking at what else here. Comical Nova asks, how long did it take you to complete the story? Have you finished it? Unfortunately, that's a question we explicitly cannot answer. Nintendo said, do not answer how long the game takes. So we won't. Austin asks, are there original or different basic enemies, or are they all from Color Splash? Oh, I'd love to see more Bowser baddies paperized. So again, at least in the first two areas, the bosses are obviously unique, but for the base enemies, I mean, again, the base enemies are at the very least all origami forms, so they're all a new form. But I'm not thinking anything offhand in those areas of anything being entirely unique. I think they are all based on existing enemies. Is that right?
Yeah,
Xander?
I think you're right about that. I don't want to go too far into this question, but I think you're right.
All right. Ray asks, is the game fun, my dude? What I will say is, at the very least, there are parts in the game, there are specific parts of the game I would say, yeah, I had fun there. So, there you go.
Yeah, I'd agree. Here's fun moments, for sure.
Toddler asks, do the fighter pilot paratroopers from Sticker Star and Color Splash make an appearance? I don't remember them being in Color Splash.
I don't think they were in Color Splash.
Yeah, I remember them from Sticker Star. Probably one of the few parts of the game I actually fondly.
Yeah, that weird cutscene with them flying in.
Yeah, the one cutscene. So up to the first two areas, at least, no, they don't appear. I like this question. I'm just gonna read it just because I like the question. Neil Tendo asks, "Is it actually fun, or is it paper meh?" Uriyo. Yeah. All right, we'll answer that later.
That's my abstract.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're actually now, we've reached a part where we're just getting mostly redundant questions. So here's a question from the Real Gaming Chef, who asks, again, is it fun? But they say, dumb question, I know, but I heard Color Splash wasn't very fun, and you compare the two a lot. So, I mean, that's the thing. I'm not going to answer whether this game is fun or not. We already kind of have, to some extent. I found Color Splash fun.
Your mileage may vary, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Your mileage may
vary.
With these games. If you're hell-bent on having experience points in your RPG, you're not going to like this game. You're not going to like Color Splash. You're not going to like any of these three, the most recent three. But if you're open to enjoying the game in other avenues, then I think Color Splash can be a really good time. And that's why I found. And so there may be value, or there may not still be, depending on, what you think of the rest of the Origami King.
Yeah, the Paper Mario franchise is experimental, and if you're here looking for the same experience from any of the other games, you're not going to find that. It's going to try new things and carry over some other stuff, but by and large, it's not just the exact same thing.
Right. Giyoshi asks, are Yoshis in the game, and do they attack you like in Color Splash? So again, at least up to the first two parts of the game, or first two areas that we can discuss, no. I don't think I've seen any sign of Yoshi at all.
Yep.
Alright. Filling time as I peruse these final few questions. Yeah, I think we're really, scratching the bottom of the barrel here. Okay. I guess, Marcus asks, how does the Origami King relate to the Oregano King from Burger King Mexico? They include a picture of the burger. I don't know. I couldn't answer that question, but it's making me extremely hungry. And
probably
it's making me glad that we're actually running low on questions here. Oh! Boogard asks, are there dogs you can pet? Yes! There are. In multiple forms even. There are toads folded up in dog form, and I don't know if you're petting them so much, but you do squash them with a hammer. I guess that
I was about to say, if you count squashing them, sure.
And then there is also a chain shop that are basically dogs, and Olivia straight up pets it, and they even call it out in the game or something, I think. But yeah, she straight up pets the dog, pets the chain shop. So yeah, there you go.
There it is.
All right, that might be a good question to end on, because I think I think we've run through these final few questions. Yeah, I think we're just getting a lot of repeats now. So
okay.
Yeah, I think we did a pretty good job though, answering as many questions as we could before running out. So yeah, Xander, any final points you want to bring up that we haven't touched on at all, or?
No, I don't think there's anything I can think of. I think we've kind of hit everything we're allowed to talk about, and a little bit more. What was it? The question about the burger. That was good.
that's what I want to end on. So
yeah.
All right. Well, everyone, thanks again for joining us for answering all these questions. 50 to 100? I don't even know how many questions that was. It was a ton.
Yeah, we powered through that.
Yeah, if you like what you saw, make sure to click that subscribe button and ring that bell for tons more Paper Mario and the Origami King. Also, make sure to check out Xander's own coverage over at Nintendo World Report. Xander, so where can people follow you at specifically?
I'm on Twitter at MorningShark, and like Andre said, I write for Nintendo World Report.
And you can find the link to that in the description below. So with that, thanks again for watching, and we will catch you next time, probably being later today, with whatever we post next. All right, everyone. We'll catch you later. Bye.